Out with the old, in with the new. Might be too little too late, but the Diamondbacks make some drastic changes to improve this team before the end of the season. Well, out with the old, in with the new. The Diamondbacks did not hesitate to make some major changes this week. Is it too little too late? Probably, but we're talking about it right now on another trending podcast. It's your mayor, occasionally known as Derek Montilla. I got my guy, Dalton Feely, a.k.a. New York's finest, here from Jomboy, joining us to discuss some major changes made this week here, Dalton, by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and some surprising changes that I think a lot of fans are in favor of. Obviously, the earlier change this week was after winning that extra innings game. Torey Lovullo made the announcement that they are removing Shaun Larkin as third base coach. They have made an announcement as to who the person that is replacing him is. But first, and I think the bigger news here, is that Jose Herrera has been designated for assignment with the news that Gabriel Moreno will return to the Diamondbacks Major League lineup for tonight's game. Shocked that it's Jose Herrera, even though it feels like that was the right call, or is this just more of the Diamondbacks pivoting in the right direction based on the results that they're seeing from their players?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked at Jose in the sense that I felt like he's been around, and it was like obviously the bat has always been a struggle with Jose, and that was never his game. He was a great backup catcher in the sense of like you were going to provide a decent job calling games, fielding, whatnot. And obviously there has been some positive splits for him versus Gabby ADC in terms of catching for certain pitchers. But Jose's been around for the last 4 years. So I'm a little surprised, but that said, like I know there are fans within the Diamondbacks community that are probably happy that Jose is getting DFA'd. I'm not to say I'm excited. Like I have a little sorrow because like he's been around. He was on the 2023 team, and
Sure.
I always there's some infatuation with the position of the backup catcher. Like that's one of the hardest jobs in baseball because sure, offensively you're not expected to do much, but you're still calling, let's say 25 to anywhere from 25 to 40% of the games behind the dish, helping the pitching staff out. And I think Jose did an underrated job behind the plate. So I'm sad that he's gone, but I will say I do think they made the right choice in keeping ADC and McCann on the roster because I think they have outperformed him. And Gabby obviously is the number one catcher. And so when he's healthy, of course, slot him in. But yeah, shout out Jose. A quick 4 years, it felt like, but
Well, like
he
you
had
said,
some moments.
he did
He
have
had
some
some
moments, right? But those moments were few and far between, and his strength definitely was, as you said, calling the game behind the plate. I have been in several pitcher post-game interviews where the pitcher credited Herrera for the game he called, and it felt like the difference there between Jose and Gabriel Moreno when they were both catching at the same time was that it sounded like Gabriel let the pitchers call their game and Jose Herrera was calling it behind the plate. Now, with the addition of James McCann due to Moreno's injury, it was about both players doing something very similar. And McCann has been credited quite a bit by pitchers for his
Yeah.
game calling behind the plate. Not to mention the fact that McCann is, a 11-year veteran in Major League Baseball, and he came into this team, he came into this opportunity and shot and just outperformed Jose Herrera. He put up better numbers offensively. McCann slashing 247, 337, 403 for a 740 OPS. He's had some big hits and some big moments already. And you already kind of see that he has a veteran leadership that this team desperately needs. When you hear it from Zach Gallen, and again, I go back to this because I just kind of really love this moment. When you hear Zach Gallen say that James McCann just looked at him and said, I hated hitting against you, and trying to give him that boost that like, hey man, you're still a good pitcher. Like, don't forget
Yeah.
that, in their first meeting, the first time that he caught him, it really felt like his impact could go beyond what the box score showed. Now his numbers are fine. League average, maybe a little bit better, but still just right around there, right? Like, but still giving you far more production than what you were getting out of Jose Herrera's bat. And I don't care how many times Torey said he likes Jose's at bats. A lot of fans definitely did not like Jose's at bat. So it feels like this definitely was the right call. In baseball, it just sometimes comes down to who performed better. And when you both share similar traits, offensively, McCann's numbers are just much better than Herrera's.
Yeah, and off of that, and talk about the offensive side of the ball. McCann has 3 home runs with the Diamondbacks in just the 77 at bats so far this season. Hosey has 3 career home runs. That's,
Sorry,
that's
I mean to
tough.
laugh about that, but
No, and you know what? Like, it is just kind of ironic. You can paint the numbers and to create your narrative, but like it was never Hosey's strength was the offensive side of the ball. And as you
sure.
said, when McCann comes in, gets a lot of credit for pitch calling and working with some of the pitchers. Obviously, when you compare Hosey and McCann, I think those are both their strengths. But then the tiebreaker, McCann is way more close to the league average in terms of offensive production. Hosey nowhere near that. So again, stinks for Herrera since he's been around for the last 4 years in different spurts, but I think it was the right choice overall, too.
There's another factor here that I think is very much complements why this is the right decision. Again, McCann is an 11-year veteran, right? This is a
Right.
guy that can offer quite a bit of experience and knowledge to Gabriel Moreno, who I think all of us agree is the catcher of the future for this team, right? So there is kind of a mentor-mentee relationship that could occur there. I'm not saying it has because they haven't had a chance to really be on the field together at the same time, but it feels like that is much more advantageous for Gabriel Moreno's future than playing alongside Jose Herrera, which, again, not to take anything away from Herrera, but it feels more like almost a competition for playing time between those two rather than, than what McCann might be able to offer. I've said it before, but it feels like, again, this team feels lost without that kind of veteran leadership out there. They don't have it at times. Now, guys like Perdomo are becoming that. You could even say that about Zach Gallen, but his future with this team is still unknown, right? So there doesn't really feel like there's a lot of that, Evan Longoria, Tommy Pham kind of veteran presence in the clubhouse. And it feels like, once again, James McCann offers that another thing that he, offers his team. But what's great is we do have Gabriel Moreno here on the horizon. He's coming back tonight. And Gabriel Moreno was just absolutely mashing the ball for Reno. I know it's 6 games, Dalton. I don't want to get excited, but he hit 400 with a 478 on base percentage, an 850 slug for a 1.328 OPS. And he just had some huge moments. It feels like he's very much back, and that the time off may have done him some good. And again, I don't want to ever say like, oh, he's back here for a push at the end of the season, but it's still baseball and anything can happen. You just have to be happy that you're making changes to make this the best team that you can for right now, and that Moreno is back to be a part of it.
All I'm saying is, Derek, the Reds, a big series versus the Reds, right? If you sweep it, it's a whole different outlook. It's a whole different outlook. And I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying if they end up sweeping the Reds at home, changes everything. And going off of Moreno too, another big aspect of him coming back for the first time, and it feels like forever, the Diamondbacks are completely healthy on the offensive side of the ball. No player on the 25, 26-man roster is on the IL on the hitting side of it. So look at us. We're getting healthy on that side, at least.
Well, and not only that, but now they made the big change there at third base. Shaun Larkin has been removed, and Nick Picoro released an article today saying that Tim Bogar, who has experience as a major league third base coach for a period of time there, he was the third base coach for the Boston Red Sox, I believe, 2010 and 2011. And again, a little bit of a surprise. I did think that former Sod Poodles manager, who is now kind of the bench coach, third base coach for the Reno Aces, Sean Roof, might have been a good fit internally, but they did go with another internal candidate with Bogar, and it appears that, at least for now, the Diamondbacks were trying to not just sit around and wait for the season, and they make these changes to improve this team, and they did it for what they feel like is an improvement at third base coach.
This is gonna sound bad, I feel like, but I don't think I've ever seen more clamoring from a fan base to fire a third base coach. And I'm not gonna be the one to celebrate someone losing their job. And he's still with the organization.
Right.
Like Shaun Larkin will still be coaching the infield for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's just lost his duties within the third base coach. So we can celebrate him still being on the team, but also, be happy there's a different third base coach, because let's face it, if there was war for a third base coach, he would be well in the negatives. I feel like there are numerous and countless decisions where myself and other fans in the Diamondbacks community were like, what the heck are we doing? Why are we holding him? Why are we stopping? Why are we sending him? So I feel bad in the sense of like, somebody had their role taken away, but I do think in terms of looking at it from the macroscopic version for the Arizona Diamondbacks, this is huge because I think there's been a couple of games where the win loss could have been different if there's a different third base coach. A couple of different choices are made on the base paths, and so, like I mentioned, there's a sliver of hope if with this series, right? There I believe 5.5 out right now in the third wild card spot. If you beat the Reds, if the Mets continue to sink their own postseason hopes, there's a world, Derek. I'm just putting it out
Stop
there.
giving me hope, Dalton. Stop giving me hope. What are you doing?
I'm sprinkling it. I can't say for sure that they're going to make it. It looks very slim, but we've seen weirder things. We saw the Tigers last year, so I don't know. There's a chance.
Doesn't it make it fun though to still hold out hope? Like that's the one thing I implore people to have. And in this case, what can make you have hope is the fact that the Diamondbacks are still making these moves, not just sitting idle waiting for the inevitable to happen. It does feel like they're still trying to improve this team in any way that they possibly can and make something happen. And I do feel like this offense is very capable with Moreno returning of doing something fun, doing something we don't expect. Again, I think that the move there, to remove Shaun Larkin, like you said, is a move that is, it's an attempt to make sure that none of those kind of losses happen again. I said at the beginning of the show that they made that decision when they won an extra innings game, right? An exciting walk-off extra innings game. But quite frankly, it might not have gone in that direction. I know it's easy to say that, but if other factors are there, if Lourdes Gurriel doesn't hit that home run, if Emmanuel Clase is not on some suspension for a gambling investigation, if a lot of things factor in differently there, this team might not win that game. And then they lose it 2-1. And you absolutely had to make a move for what happened there in the 5th inning with Shaun Larkin. However, again, you can't just say, oh, because of factors we won, so we're not going to do that. I will say that there was one interesting thing that happened. I believe it was on Monday when we were at Chase Field. It was the day that Ketel Marte made the statement about, the missing time and made the apology to his teammates. Prior to that, there was a meeting that occurred with Mike Hazen and Torey Lovello and other, front office personnel. It caused, kind of a delay in us getting to talk to Torey. And I wonder now if the wheel was kind of potentially, or if the wheels were in motion to replace Shaun Larkin even prior to what happened on, in the finale of that Guardians series. So I still don't know, what might have been, going on there, taking place. It definitely feels though like what happened on Wednesday wasn't necessarily the one reason why they replaced him as third base coach. It was just, as we've said probably entirely too many times on this show, the straw. And again, as fans, we have to be happy that they're trying to make this team better and not just let this season slip by us at this point when they are still in the race. You're not entirely wrong about that. 5.5 games back right now.
Derek, they are still one of the best offenses in baseball. I think that's the most what am I trying to say? Frustrating.
Frustrating part. Yeah.
I
stressful
think
too, but frustrating. Yeah, no. Yeah. I think top 5 OPS in baseball, and you have the bottom worst pitching, and you can't get anything done.
Sorry, I mentally checked out because I just said
that's all right.
Frustrating and stressful, 2 different words.
Just
trying to put them
together
into one.
for stressful.
Like this.
Yeah.
There's 16 runs scored, 5th in home runs, 3rd in OPS, Derek. That's like, those are very good marks. If they're, third base coach, pitching, there's a lot of what ifs, right? But somehow, some way, if they win 3 games versus the Reds this weekend, we're now talking in a different tone of voice. So we'll see,
so crazy. Man. It's so crazy to say that. And I said it before, and I know that the schedule gets much more difficult after that. So that is something to take on at that point. But we have seen the Rockies take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. We've seen a lot of weird stuff happened. The Padres got hot, and then they also got smacked in the face back down into second place by the Dodgers once they faced off, right? So there's a lot that could still happen here. The Mets seem like a team that are very volatile and can't really keep things together. They've lost 2 in a row, and they don't help make this situation any more definitive, right? Like you said, the Diamondbacks at this point literally only have 3 teams between them and a wild card spot and 5.5 games separating them and the Mets. And who knows how much worse the Mets could play between now and the rest of the season. So Diamondbacks just let them get hot. Don't let the Snakes get hot, because if you do, we're going to go on a run. But this, again, this has been like a snake shedding its skin a bit this week, Dalton, with these changes that were made. You like that one? That was a good one. Because again, it's gross. It's not the best thing, and at times you're unsure about what's going to happen on the other side. But you have to feel confident that the Diamondbacks made the right call here when it came to not only replacing Shaun Larkin at third base, but going with James McCann over Jose Herrera to complement Gabriel Moreno.
I love the analogy. I'm always a fan of a great analogy, and that was a good one. But yeah, like there's so many things to watch for the rest of the season in a good fashion, right? Like, can Zach Gallen bounce back? Will Corbin Carroll reach 20 triples this season? Will Ketel Marte reach 30-plus home runs, even though he missed basically a month of baseball? Geraldo Perdomo continuing to be one of the best shortstops in baseball this season. Like, there's still so many. How does the bullpen shake out? Like, is there anyone that flashes the rest of this season? There are so many storylines to watch for this team, even though their playoff chances are right now dwindling. But I'm going to keep harping on it, Derek. If you beat 3 games from the Reds, you're right there.
I love it. Well, he is Dalton Feely. You can find him on Twitter at dfeely14. Of course, I am at cap_caveman with a K. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Dalton, thank you so much for your time and your insight. I appreciate you, sir, as always. And we appreciate you guys for joining us. Make sure to give us a follow if you haven't done so. And keep it locked right here to PHNX for all your future Diamondbacks news. We appreciate your time as always. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you don't give up hope.